As a fellow New Yorker, I think one of the things that we should talk about here is also one of the disgusting legacies after 9/11 has been the targeting and racism against Muslim Americans throughout the United States of America. And this is an extension of that legacy. Consistency, there is nothing consistent with the Republican Party's continued attack except for the racism and incitement of violence against women of color in this body. I had a member of the Republican caucus threaten my life, and you all and the Republican caucus rewarded him with one of the most prestigious committee assignments in this Congress. Don't tell me this is about consistency. Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology when my life was threatened. Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of the Nick and CJ show. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Nick?
What's popping, people? Welcome to Nick and CJ Fridays. Good to be back. Took a few days off to clear my mind from politics, even though it was very hard. I even broke my rule. I said I was going to take 3 days without talking about politics, but then I jumped on here with you because I heard you talking about I heard Marianne Williamson talking about Ukraine. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. But I'm back. This should be a fun day. A lot to talk about today. I will also be on Jimmy Dore's show here soon later this evening. So I may dip out a little bit early to prepare for that, get ready for that. But regarding this video, which I'm sure we may talk about on Jimmy. I don't know if Jimmy covered this yet or not, but that video clip, you see an AOC giving that cringe speech where she's trying to imitate the tone and the speak of a black pastor. This video right here perfectly sums up why AOC is less popular than Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton.
Good Lord.
There's only one genre of people, CJ. There's only one genre of people who see this and don't see a sellout. Don't see someone who overcompensating, and that is the Cal Kalinske crystal ball left. They're the only people that's still holding out on AOC. The Hillness reported, David Doe's, AOC is more unpopular than Kamala Harris, guys.
Crazy. That is crazy.
That's crazy. And then people who see us criticize AOC, they think we out cup. They think we out line. I'm like, no, if you're an AOC defender, if you're an AOC fan, you're in the vast minority. Vast minority. And this right here is exactly why she's deeply unpopular. Not only is she a political partisan, you see what she put attention on? You see what her main focus is about her. It's about her and her friends. They did us wrong. She's not giving an passionate Senate speech because Biden failed on his campaign promises, because he expanded DHS, ICE, the police, because he funded the apartheid state of Israel more, which I will get back to that soon. Feel free to interrupt me anytime. I got a lot to say, CJ, because I want to get to why they are doing this. I had a lot of thoughts. I was thinking a lot.
Yeah, let me just point out for people to look at Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush, that tells you if this is serious or not.
Yeah,
if your colleagues is thinking you are being serious, if this was a real true act of racism where they thought that, they're gonna be in the back snickering and laughing at your mimicking of the black church style pastors.
So they can do this as a blog, but we can't get them to vote as a blog. Now all of a sudden they're a team now. When it comes to
Jamal, look at Jamal and Corey.
Look at Jamal and Corey. This is clown shit. And just like I said with Marianne earlier this week, if you're not embarrassed by this, if you're part of the NATO left, if you're a boutique leftist, that says anything about your class loyalty. Because a lot of people want to be these people. A lot of people want the position of power. Meanwhile, us, the workers, we look at this with nothing but disdain. This is high level of betrayal. But I want to get to the substance, because this is what I feel like a lot of people are missing out on. Play the clip again, CJ. And I want to hear the clip one more time, and then I'll explain this concept, because I feel like a lot of people are missing this on why they are going to identity politics. So keep in mind that the Republican Party said that they are removing Ilhan Omar because of her position on Israel-Palestine. Keep that in mind as you hear this speech. So play it again, and then I'll explain.
Here we go.
Thank you. Now, as a fellow New Yorker, I think one of the things that we should talk about here is also one of the disgusting legacies after 9/11 has been the targeting and racism against Muslim Americans throughout the United States of America. And this is an extension of that legacy. Consistency, there is nothing consistent with the Republican Party's continued attack except for the racism and incitement of violence against women of color in this body. I had a member of the Republican caucus threaten
Mention
my
the
life,
Palestinians,
and you
please.
all and the Republican caucus rewarded him with one of the most prestigious committee assignments in this Congress. Don't tell me this is about consistency. Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and
She mentioned the anti-Semitism there, and then she immediately pivots to, oh my God, remember what Marjorie Taylor Greene says? So, play the last 15 seconds here, and I'll continue.
And also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology. Time has expired. My life was threatened. Thank you.
My life was threatened. Just like Marianne Williamson, it's all about me. You guys didn't apologize to me. Look at how I'm treated. Now, there's a reason why they huddled up. This was an accident. They huddled up and they was thinking about how we handle this Ilhan Omar being kicked out of the committee assignments, and they decided to go with this textbook Democratic Party shit lib nonsense here of attacking the Republican Party as racist, which they are, because the Democratic Party is racist as well. They all institute racist policy, right? Policy that is racist. The policy against the Palestinians is genocide that literally in support of a racist imperialist ideology that is Zionism. But instead of taking this massive headline grabbing opportunity to raise awareness for the Palestinians and expose how ridiculous it is for anyone who speaks up for the Palestinians to be censored, instead of doing that, they make it about identity politics and make it about victimhoodship. I'm going to share this tweet from Max Blumenthal because this is such a great point, and this was later shared by Midpoint News. Midpoint Press News says, AOC squanders an opportunity to address the plight of the Palestinians after Ilhan Omar was removed from a committee seat over comments made years ago criticizing the apartheid state. Now, keep that in mind. Keep in mind the term years ago. Very important for the story. Very important. Years ago. And then this is Max. Ilhan Omar, and this demolishes the talking points, the identity politics talking points they're leading with. The GOP ran a Somali woman against her. CJ, you know that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Now, we know what they're doing. We know what they're doing, right? They engage in tokenship the same way the Democratic Party do. Just because you run a Somali does not mean you're an anti-racist, that you're not racist, right? But you can't say that they only kick you off because of the color of your skin when they are obviously okay with having people color their skin who agrees with them. So if it's not about the color of the skin in this instance, isolate the issue. Isolate the issue. I'm a salesman. I came from sales. We isolate the objection. This guy bought a car from a black person in Honda 5 years ago. So him refusing to buy a car from me, obviously not because I'm black. It's obviously because of something else, right? But as Ms.
You see how both parties use race just in a different way, but for the same purpose. And this is what we mean by they're two people going for the same target, but saying we decided to take a different path to the same place. That's all this is. It's the same path to the same place. Let me chime in on that point you made about when AOC made it about her and about a committee seat. Remember the video with Michael Brooks? And I'm going to keep referring to this because there was so much knowledge in that just 2-minute clip. and Vivek, where he talks about, he was like, the left is overwhelmingly middle class, and they don't want to hear about they don't want to hear about poverty and struggle and imperialism. They want to talk about why they didn't get that position. He literally talks about it in the video. Why they didn't get that position. Why this and that. Why didn't they treat it the same way when they walk in a room? That's literally what this AO speech is talking about right here. Absolutely. You see how it's not about what it should be about, what she should be talking about, the Palestinians. But this is the same thing, Nick, because I did a segment yesterday on Ilhan, or whenever it was, on Ilhan, and I brought up this same same point, like getting kicked off this panel, and then I brought up the Somalis saying basically they want her kicked off the panel because her being on the panel is bringing damage to the Horn of Africa.
Yes.
So what do you mean? Her being off the panel, to the Somalis' point of view, is a good thing. Because she can't then meddle in the Horn of Africa. And I went over the story
in her
zone. So instead, because what she should have been saying, Ilhan should have been saying in her speech, why she should have been pointing out policy differences of why she got. Look, because I'm speaking about the bombing in Somalis. America's over here in Syria. They're stealing 8 gallons. She ain't saying none of that. Because that's why she can't say it in her speech. She has to go to some identity politics. Go ahead.
I'm also going to show you guys why she can't say that, why the squad can't say this. And a lot of people are missing this part. But to your point, that's such a great point. It's better off for the Somali people that she's kicked off committee assignment, because at least they can say, oh my God, look at all these crazy white imperialists that are attacking Somalia. Ilhan is on a foreign committee, so she can, we got Somali here that support the violent regime that we supported in Somalia, right? So it's better off if she's not on there at all, and she can be the outside voice calling out our government. Which is to beg the question, why would she even care about being kicked off of this for this reason? What do I mean by this? If you're an ally to Palestinians, you couldn't ask for a better moment than this, CJ.
Everybody's watching you.
If you're an ally of the Palestinian people and this happened, like imagine if I was in Congress, and we all know I wouldn't be able to get that much stuff done. If I am an ally of the Palestinian people, this is the best thing that happens to you. Now, you can literally make this a theme for the rest of your time in Congress. You can literally say, hey, yo, remember that time I got kicked out of the committee assignment because you guys support a genocidal regime in Israel? Hell, I host a press conference. I sent an email to Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, and I'm like, obviously this is big news. I'm gonna address me getting kicked off, and I go on a 30-minute rant about how Israel's an apartheid state. They're like, hey, are you gonna address the committee or whatever? No, I'm gonna explain to you guys why I said what I said. I don't care about that fucking shit. I am calling this press conference. I'm gonna explain to you the crimes of business and Yahoo. I'll do a quote. I did segments doing this. Imagine you did a press conference and then you just start reading quotes of people who literally in government right now, the far right Leopard Party in Israel. You like in your press conference, you reading how they said that they should bomb Gaza. You had one of the government officials that said you should carpet bomb Gaza. Imagine how much powerful that would be if Ilhan just reading those quotes of what Israel people are saying. You say we shouldn't impose this government, and then you tell the American people, this is why I kicked out the assignment, the committee assignments at a 29-minute mark. Your 30-minute speak, and in your 30-minute speak at a 29-minute mark, you say all this shit I'm telling you guys right now, this education that I gave you guys, this is why I got kicked off my seat. Can you imagine what could be accomplished if we didn't have feckless, weak, sellout leaders? So the reason she does this, I want to show this receipt, is because Ilhan Omar literally already caved to the Zionists. So if they bring up the Palestinian issue, this receipt I'm about to show you get exposed. And it shows how they caved to the issue. So, and it also exposed the failure of their strategy. Because the strategy of Ilhan Omar, AOC and the squad, is to sell out Palestinians in order to get progressive gains. So, CJ, they told us we have to sell out the Palestinians in order to stay on our committee assignments. Ilhan Omar sold out the Palestinian people and still got removed from her committee assignment. So look at this. This is why it's important to remember they're kicking her off based on comments she made years ago. And then I don't remember exactly if it was AOC or some other progressive figurehead out her say this, to be honest. But there was someone else that was saying that and you see that AOC alluded to it in her speech. She said, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene said there were Jewish space lasers. Marjorie Taylor Greene said all this crazy stuff, and she owned up to it. She apologized for it. At least that was the point I heard someone talking to said. She said, why are you not pulling Marjorie Taylor Greene based on her old comments? They said Ilhan Omar apologized for her old comments. And when they said that, I was like, what? And I swear to God, I apologize for God. I don't remember where I got this from. I literally heard some progressive head. It was like, Ilhan apologized for her old Israel comments. Yeah, she made some off-the-cuff comments, but she apologized for it the same way that Marjorie Taylor Greene apologized for Jewish space lasers. You see how they're making the connection here to Marjorie Taylor Greene crazy shit and Ilhan Omar having her pre-sellout days telling the truth about Israel? Now, this is the reality of the situation. Ilhan Omar backed the resolution recognizing Israel as a legitimate ally. And this whole thing, it also was about condemning anti-Semitism, as shown in the sub-headline. So what Ilhan Omar did is unbelievably nefarious. So by supporting this resolution, saying that Israel is not a legitimate ally, saying that Israel is a apartheid state, and driving a wedge between the U.S.-Israel relationship, they deemed to be anti-Semitic. So Ilhan, by backing this resolution, literally concedes the point to the Zionists. Yep. This is the biggest sin, because she concedes that not being pro-Israel is anti-Semitic in by doing this. So despite this, and I'll pass to you, CJ, I know you want to chime in. Despite this sellout, despite giving AIPAC exactly what they wanted, and the Israel people the vote that they wanted, that confirmed their belief that criticizing Israel anti-Semitic, despite this, they still kick her off the committee assignment. That's why they don't talk about it. Because then we will analyze, like, dude, you sold those people out and you still lost. So you can't say you got some 4D chess maneuvering. Oh, man, come on, man. You can't question us. We're making these calculated moves behind the scenes. You expose that there's none of that going on.
Oh, that's so nonsense.
You guys are selling people out and then still losing committee assignments. You had Nina Turner refuse to back BDS. AIPAC still went against her. So these progressives, they keep hedging towards the moderate side because they want to convince people that, oh, if we only nice to the establishment, if we tone down our rhetoric towards Israel, maybe they will listen to us, which has been proven to be a complete failure on every level. This is the boutique managerial class approach towards politics, CJ, that they somehow going to trick the capitalists into voting against their own interest. If only we nice to them Pelosi. And this, no, I'm dead serious. This is what Cal Kalinske and them said. Cal Kalinske said, oh, if we only nicer to these people. And he apologized for the squawk. He's like, of course they got to be nice to the Democrats, because if they're not nice, they're not going to get anything. As if you're going to trick a capitalist. You're going to smile at capitalists and then you're going to give up his means of production. It's literally ridiculous. It is this is the ideas that come out from the professional managerial class.
And let's that's a perfect introduction to this video. So let's remind everybody, let's take 2 minutes out. RIP Michael Brooks. Let's take 2 minutes out just as a refresher. And the most important part of this video is at the second half. So let's listen.
Today, I would not call it that. So the identitarian stuff that you
is it not going to play?
Very active.
Let's see.
System that you talk about, Michael, globally, historically, that has no connection to the working class, to the poor at all. That's a second. The left.
I'll get a different version of it on Twitter. On YouTube. Yeah. I think something's going on. But anyway, the point of the video is he's saying that he's making the point that if you have a left that's overwhelmingly middle class, they don't want to hear about things like poverty, like poor. I'm adding this part, like imperialism. They don't want to hear about that stuff on a daily basis, especially, and then, hey, so I can take some pictures like that, right? And then he goes on to say what they want to talk about is why they didn't get that position. And that's literally what AOC is saying here. And what Nick is making the point is making it about her, making it about, oh, they don't want people on this committee seat. Now, Now, if you ask the average working class person, hey, do you think would you like AOC to get a committee seat, or would you like AOC to gather up her 12 million followers and subscribers on Twitter and put together a mass movement to try to get $15 minimum wage? Which one do you think will affect you more? Go ahead, Nick.
I think the answer would be obvious. And going back to AOC's speech here, when I see it, I mentioned earlier, this is why she is as deeply unpopular as she is. But when you see the moves that AOC make over and over again, it's almost unbelievable how incompetent she and her team is. And I want to share this take by Glenn because I think this is very interesting, and it also describes the mindset behind the professional managerial class. Because Glenn commented on this, and the reason I'm bringing this up because I think he made
I think I saw this.
It makes a very interesting point. Because I was joking with Glenn. I was saying AOC's advisors secretly hate her. Is the only explanation I have for how incompetent this is, right? Like even if you're accomplishing what AOC is trying to accomplish, of being a Democratic Party operative, right? Of keeping the Overton window to the right. That is what AOC is doing. Like this speech does nothing to advance her cause. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking like, even with you being a sellout, this makes it harder for you to sell out because people are like, oh shit, she's full of shit, I guess. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on with AOC advisory team? But Glenn makes a good point here in response to me. And it shows how civility politics and this false decorum allows the boutique left, the professional managerial left, to be ineffective. This is a great point by Glenn. He said it could be that they secretly hate her, or it could be fear. Nobody around her had the courage to say, it's not really a good idea for you to just suddenly adopt this manner of speech out of nowhere. It could be a bit cringe, maybe a bit offensive to some, tad offensive to some. The reason why I'm bringing this up, because if you had anyone on AOC's team that looked at AOC and like, hey, yo, this shit is fucking cringe. What the fuck y'all doing? Then they be, oh my God, you're being uncivil. Oh my God, you being divisive here. You guys see how there's this culture of where no one questions AOC, no one questions the people on the top, the professional managerial class to the core believes in a top-down model. So the people on the AOC team, they were scared to question this shit. Because maybe if you question, they may lose your job. Maybe awkward in your social setting. This shows how ineffective PMCs are because everything about civility to them. Everything's about decorum to them. Because it makes no sense that no one will pull it to your side like, yo, this speech is horrific, son. This is doing you no favors. And I don't know if you saw, CJ, every single right-wing media outlet is playing this speech. They're like, you see AOC, all the right-wing outlets like, look at AOC, look at this dumbass. Look at this dumbass. Imagine being such a non-threat that your opposition shows footage of you speaking. Because they know it will make your opposition look bad. Were they doing that to Malcolm X? No, they would have to shut these people up.
Because of what he's saying.
They had to censor Putin. They'll show you Putin's speeches because he may win people over. You may hear his point of view. The right wing fucking put a spotlight on AOC as much as they can because she's the dumb left. The same way they put the Mickey Cox on Fox News. Hey guys, look how dumb the left is. Look at AOC, she's the leftist. The Mickey Cox, she's the leftist. You guys see why it's important to call this out?
They literally label them like Fidel Castro, like radicals. But Nick, I found the clip. I'm sorry to cut you off, but go ahead, read that comment if you wanted to.
I found the clip. AOC getting roasted. That's all. By everybody.
Yeah, I found the clip. So I do, because I think this is important for this segment to have this in here, because it's such a direct, almost like he could be talking about AOC in this, especially in the second part of this 2 minutes here. So let's listen.
So socialism basically can be thought of as saying, we want to take the promise that liberals made, that Kant made, and that Hegel made, and we want to make it real. Now, the liberalism that you talk about, Michael, when you say there's a lot of liberalism within the left today, I would not call it that. So the identitarian stuff that you talk about, the narrowness, that is not an ideological hangover of liberalism. That is a very, very active set of people pushing their material interests.
Right.
The left in the United States is fundamentally and overwhelmingly a middle class formation. It is not it's the first left globally, historically, that has no connection to the working class, to the poor at all. People.
Okay, I had to pause it there because it has no connection whatsoever to the working class. Think about that, everybody in the audience. Think about that. No connection. There's a left that has defined itself as the left without any connection to the working class. This is why you can be called a leftist with Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage. Give me my Malcolm X stamp, please. It is specifically for this reason. It's like a redefinition of the left that excludes imperialism, that excludes war, that excludes all of these things. This is why you can be nuanced on war. Anti-war, yes, and I'm down with sending $100 billion to Ukraine, and I'm called anti-war. Like, it's that sort of thing because there's no connection to the working class, to the poor. Let me finish this out, and then we can kind of finish.
People complain that the left is white. Bullshit. That's a second. The left has those non-whites who are in the American left are all middle class too. It's disproportionately white, but it's all middle class.
Now listen to this part coming up.
In that setting, when you're only bringing in middle class people into your organization, a big chunk of them are going to say, we don't want to hear about poverty. We don't want to hear about the economy. What we want to know is, when we walk into a room, why are we not treated well? When we apply for the salaried positions at six-figure
committee seat,
we have a right to, why do we get 5% less than the other guys? Middle class on the left wants to hear about it. It will dress it up in all sorts of historically powerful language and all that.
Isn't that what exactly? I forgot about this part. It will dress it up, Nick, and all sort of historical. Isn't that identical to what AOC is doing here by using that Black Baptist sort of teacher style of speak? That is exactly what she's doing. And in her speech, she connects the Muslim struggle of regular Muslims who are really getting destroyed with racism from both parties. And she tries to connect that somehow to these well-off freaking PMCs who are getting paid six-figure salaries with all of these perks and the best healthcare on the planet.
Yep. And you know, so I always said the main grievance they have is how they treat them within the professional managerial class of professions. That's the same way that's the same reason why we was repulsed when we heard Marianne Williamson answer regarding third party, which is it's all depending on how they treat me. You see how it's all about how they are treated within the upper level society and the capitalist structure. So Marianne Williamson has no intention on running third party as long as the ruling class is nice to her in the process. It doesn't matter that they implement brutal policies, which is the reason why you should go third party to be willing to call these people out. Nope, only that matters if you're nice to me, right? But go ahead, we can continue the clips.
Yeah, it's at the end. I think it has a couple seconds left. Let's see.
But Adolf Reed has been saying this for a while, and it's only because he's in America that people think this is controversial. In the rest of the world, what Adolf says is just common sense, which is this is a form of nationalist politics. And all nationalist politics has one or the other class character. Either it's a nationalism that's wrapped around the needs of the poor, or it's a nationalism that's wrapped around the needs of the aspiring, emerging elite within the dominant.
Now, is the left nationalism wrapped around the needs of the poor, Nick, or is it wrapped around the needs of the aspiring elite? I mean, I know the answer, but it's glaring to me, and I can bring it down now. But this is, to me, like, I play this clip. We play this clip all the time. I've even seen you play it without me being here, but we listen and play this clip all the time. But to actually see a real live, real-time example to fit perfectly in some of the key points he makes here, like from people they like. This is Michael Brooks. This is why I played his clip. This is their people making the point about the nonsense that they're now trying to cheer on. And David Dole is cheering this on. You said you saw a Humanist Report. I haven't seen it yet. But David Doe has a video.
Apparently, I saw a comment here that said
him.
Yeah. They
the
love
title
it.
The title of his Nick is AOC rips the Senate or murders the Senate or something like that. I'm like, what?
Who did that?
Yes, Rational National.
Oh, fucking
yes.
What? Like,
we're watching the same thing. We're watching the same thing.
There is no way you watch that and conclude that AOC comes out well unless you are a rank propagandist. You have to be the propagandist with zero shame to find a way to spin that for AOC. She getting ripped to shreds. And to my point earlier, like, you don't see the United States is playing clips of Putin, right? You don't see the Republic. Do you see Republicans playing clips of Malcolm X? Like, oh my, look at this ridiculous shit this nigga said. Or I don't have to go back far. Do you see them pulling clips of Margaret Kimberly? Do you see Republicans them pulling clips of Glenn Ford, Gerald Horn? No. They do their best to avoid showing what a real socialist and leftist looks like. But the right can't wait to show y'all some AOC because she makes the left look dumb. But David Doe's like, this is great. This is great red blue shit.
That's the title. AOC ripped GOP
apart. No way. There is no way. There is no way.
Oh God, Nick, I don't know.
Living in a different universe. Living in a completely different universe. These professional managerial class people are. For one, this guy lives in Canada, pretty wealthy, and this guy talking about AOC saying AOC killed it. This is the high level political analysis that you've been getting from the boutique left for the last few years before RBN. And these are the people that will tell you that Jimmy Dore sold out. They are bootlicking politicians, but then they will say someone else who call out the members of the ruling class, they will call them right wing. No critique of Ilhan Omar voting in favor of muddying the waters on what it means to be anti-Semitic. No comment at all on that, apparently. No comment on their strategy, despite them wedging on Israel, because they wanted to avoid the anti-Semitism thing. That's why they voted for. That's why they came out against BDS. That's why they started voting for Iron Domes, because they wanted to blunt the attack that came from the right that was calling them anti-Semitic. And then they still kicked her off committee seats. No analysis over that. No,
so nothing from him. Nothing from Humanist Report, and he does point out how Hakeem Jeffries voted against the socialism. We'll get to that. We'll get to that one in a second. But so no, it's not. Nobody else said anything about the AOC thing.
Yeah, I can't stress enough. These people
hopped on that shit.
Yeah, I can't stress enough. These people are poison to the left. Absolutely poison to the left, and this is why the working class has been led off the cliff. The fact that people will listen to the Majority Report, David Doe and Mike Figueroa for years without any counter, and you guys wonder why Bernie lost twice. You guys wonder why homelessness is at a record level. You guys wonder why Medicare fraud is further away than it's ever been. It's because these people are morons who run their movement based on vibes and led this movement off a cliff. So that's what I want to get into the Ro Khanna story. I maybe have another 30 minutes or so.
That's what I was just about to say. I think
we should probably together.
Stories here. Yeah, let's switch stories here. So let's get to the Ro Khanna story. Did you have something you want to lead with? If you want, we could do that. If not, I have some stuff saved.
I'll let you share the screen.
Yeah, sure.
I'll preface the story this way.
Absolutely.
Do you guys remember how the DSA strategy, and this is what they will tell you, is to run socialists in the Democratic Party to pull the party to the left. Just as Democrats, we're going to have the just Democrats that pull the party to the left. So we're going to have a bunch of quote-unquote socialists, and I cannot emphasize that enough because they really social Democrats at best. And honestly, they do a lot of damage to the social Democrat name because Lula.
I don't know about that.
Lula is social democrat, so I am being very, very generous when I compare that. When I say they're a social democrat, because even Lula being a social democrat, it acknowledges that we should not fund war in Ukraine, that we should not support the expansion of NATO. I got a story I may do Saturday or maybe Monday where Lula got in this argument with the German chancellor, and he met with the German people like, you guys are out of your fucking mind. And now Bloomberg and all these people are smearing him because he refuses to support the Ukraine war. And Lula is a social democrat. Like he's not anywhere as radical as we want him to be. So whenever we say that, we're being very generous. But the idea is these people took what it means to be a socialist and dragged it to the right. So now you got a bunch of rab libs, you got a bunch of Western chauvinists, you got people who their goal is nowhere to dismantle capitalism. Their goal is not to get the means of production for the workers. Their goal is they just want government to do more stuff. That's not socialism. All government do stuff. They want government to do more stuff, so now they call themselves socialists. So now they took over this party, and since then, the party has voted to denounce socialism. So not only did the party not shift to the left, like you guys said it would, it continued to shift to the right by supporting war, supporting the police budget even more, by expanding on fracking, expanding on the DHS and ICE. So the party shifted to the right and now denouncing socialism. So anything you want to add, I'll let you share.
So picking up from where you left off, I think this is a good part to insert this. So the bill is denouncing the horrors of socialism bill. And Emma tweets it out, and she has the actual log where you can see the people who voted for it. But the reason for me, I wanted to talk about Ro Khanna and Hakeem Jeffries, because these two have been presented as progressives by so-called progressives. I just did a segment, Nick, where I was talking about Ro Khanna being interviewed, Access Journalism segment, where Ro Khanna was being interviewed by David Sirota. David Sirota, who's supposed to be a bona fide progressive, is now vouching for a neocon who is calling himself progressive, but he is a clear neocon, and that giving him bona fides. And then Ro Khanna is saying Hakeem Jeffries in an interview with Brianna. Hakeem Jeffries, oh yeah, he's in a progressive caucus. He's a progressive. What do you mean, Brianna? So you see how the Overton window, just because you want to latch on, you see how it latches on now by way of Ro Khanna. Hakeem Jeffries is a bona fide progressive, and look what progressives are saying. And all the masses of people who are aspiring to be progressive, they're understanding through politics. Now they're going, wow, well, if Ro Khanna's a progressive and Hakeem and they're okay with funding, well, I guess it's not that bad. So now you see how it's not a big deal that, funding Israel's not a big deal. Remember Ro Khanna and Hakeem Jeffries, they're progressives because David Sirota said so, because Cenk Uygur said so. All of you guys had him on your show. Breaking Points brought him on, all vouching this progressive. And look what they're doing here.
Now, the reason why we see this coming from Ro Khanna, the reason why we see the AOC speech, me and Glenn also were talking about this on Twitter as well. This is the result of the Bernie media industrial complex. What we're seeing right here. How many times has Ro Khanna been interviewed by these people and granted legitimacy because they were so nice to Ro Khanna, right? So the progressives, Ro Khanna, and I use a quote progressives here. That's how they brand themselves. You have Ro Khanna, AOC, Ilhan. These people only will do conversations. And the funny thing is, not even at AOC, you see like Ilhan and Ro Khanna. AOC's too big for them. But a lot of progressives will do interviews in the Bernie media industrial complex, and they're so used to them kissing their ass because they're so happy they got access. They're so used to this idea that came from the DSA left, where they're like, yeah, we know Bernie and them kind of disappointing, but why call them out when they're the best we have? They don't understand their role. So because Bernie and them is not used to being called out, now they're emboldened. We can do whatever the fuck we want. We might well go full sellout neoliberal. We might well win over the people who are hung up on us because we know the burning media industrial complex and our friends will never turn against us. So they embolden this shit. But go ahead, CJ. I know you want to chime in.
Yeah, I just wanted to add this guy Ruben Gallego. I think that's how you say his name, Ruben Gallego.
Who the fuck is
So
that
it's
guy?
three. Yeah, he's a. So how he became popular and the NATO left and media have done videos on. Oh, a true progressive, Ruben Gallego is about to challenge. One of the about to challenge the Arizona seat of who's the independent, the girl that just went from Cinema. He's a progressive that's about to. He's the Democrat that's about to challenge for that Senate seat, and they've been pushing him. Two things. He is the cover story. Yes, he's the cover story on Real Sludge. If you read Sludge, is about uncovering corruption. He's a cover story. He's been inconspicuously voting against corruption, voting to have corruption. So I'll get to that part too. So these are progressives, Nick. So listen to this part. This person says seeing Khanna and Ruben Gallego on the list is truly de-inspiring. I would assume that's what they're meaning by there, but de-inspiring. See what happens, what progressives do to the movement. Now look at her response though, Nick. Gallego's running for Senate, so everything he does has to be viewed through that lens. But somehow Khanna has no excuse. You see what the
what are you talking about?
Real time, Nick. Real time. We are seeing how the professional managerial class is trading off. They're saying, "Look, he's running, so he has to sell somebody out. Come on." But Khanna's not running, so he has no excuse. Go ahead, Nick. I know you want to turn.
You said it perfectly. You guys see how electoral politics robs you of your principles? You guys see how the red-blue game robs you of your principle? Emma is so lost in the sauce. She's so engaged in the red-blue struggle. She don't care about anything. Anything. Stands for nothing. As to be expected for someone whose parents are corporate lawyers, apparently. Either way, she grew up rich. She also had no skin in the game. Sam Cedar had no skin in the game. None of the people had skin in the game. So this is as far as their analysis will go. Oh, well, they are in part of electoral politics, so we can expect them to screw you guys over as long as they give us good feels because they defeat the Republican Party. These are the people that lead in workers. And this is the same kind of thinking that led Emma Vigeland to praise Cuomo. Remember, she praised Cuomo.
Yeah, I remember.
Thank you, Cuomo. He's doing an amazing job during this pandemic. And guys, this was like in fucking March. Like after the story about him.
Clearly after that had already happened.
Yeah, and you were praising, like, this is someone who is unapologetically class loyal. Like, she cannot, I promise you that Emma cannot even define what it means to be a socialist. But she's here
not ideologically. She can tell you some beliefs or some policy beliefs. That's what they think.
I hear these people think about it. They think socialism is when the government does stuff. I want the government to fund healthcare, so I am a socialist. No, it's about seizing the means of production. Capitalist is an authoritarian model where the government funds capitalists, gives subsidies to the capitalists, where the capitalist owns the means of production, which is why we get no major change. We want to change the means of production. They're not socialists. And they convince people that these fucking suburban capitalists, these rablibs, they are somehow socialists. They are representative of the left. They are not. Michael Prenti does a great lecture. I covered it before, where he explains the difference between a Bernie Sanders leftist and someone who's a socialist or communist. We have Bernie Sanders and Emma Vigeland. Their big idea was not necessarily a bad one, is to tax the rich. They say tax the rich. We got to tax the rich. And Michael Prenti, he's like, why the fuck are you legitimizing the capitalist mode of production? Fuck taxing them. We need to seize the mode of production. Then, by taxing them, you're legitimizing their income that is not legitimate. And this comes from Michael Prenti. And that's his criticism of Bernie. And that is the difference between the Emma Vigeland socialists and the real fucking deal. But go ahead, CJ.
So I'm curious now. This is just pure curiosity, just to get your thoughts on on this. This is just all pure curiosity. these so just to briefly kind of look at headlines from the different media outlets about this story. So here is Mediaite, quote, fake, funny, and fraudulent, end quote. Hakeem Jeffries takes anti-socialist resolution very personal at fiery presser. Oh, so I haven't seen this presser, so maybe I should look up a video, so maybe something's out.
Dude, I'll tell you, when that video go, I think it just happened. Once that video go around, holy crap, dude, there's no way that's not cringe. And by the way, the person that the squad voted for, Hakeem Jeffries, he literally said he used identity politics to attack democratic socialism. I've read the quote before. We was like, "Yo, I am a black man fighting against this white supremacist society, and I will never kneel to democratic socialism." And they voted for him willingly, knowing he said that.
And then he went around and then stomped for a anti-choice judge that was rejected in New York, and now he's voting against it. So how many things has to happen, Nick, before we stop calling these people left? Like what? Because we can name a bunch of things that they have done that's not left, sending money to the Ukraine multiple times. You know, the Eat Me Rich dress that was like tens of thousands of dollars. You know, I mean, just thing after thing. They're breaking the strike vote. Just sending money to Ukraine to fund Israel. Just thing after thing. So look at this headline, Nick. Hakeem Jeffries just made a damning admission about the Dems' agenda during socialism vote. This is the red state.
Yeah.
And this is the part I was getting to. Let me just read this last one, then I'll pass it right to you, Nick. Are you all believing this evil un-American is in the position he is without America's political system? This would not be allowed in any other country. Hakeem Jeffries' resolution condemning socialism is fraudulent, would undermine democratic agenda. So the conservatives aren't buying it in a different way, Nick, and I'll take that down. They're not buying this vote in a different way. Like, no, he is a secret socialist. He just acting like it. That's their position, which is completely absurd. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. Do you mind? Because I probably got enough 15 minutes left. Do you mind? I want to interject this because I think this is.
Go ahead. We can
this is related. You had AOC in the squad who was 100% okay with voting for Hakeem Jeffries, knowing that Hakeem Jeffries has a raging hate boner against socialism. Right? Do you guys think that the squad ever had any intentions on getting anything done? No, they did not. That's why they supported Hakeem Jeffries, because they wanted to protect their status in the social club, knowing that this guy is going to give the progressive movement hell. If you believe in taking over the Democratic Party, that's dead. Wait till you see the next election. When you see how Hakeem Jeffries reallocate those funds. You guys have complained about dark money before? You guys thought dark money in politics was hard to overcome before. Wait till Hakeem Jeffries has something. Hakeem Jeffries is famous for speaking out against primary challenges. He hates the idea of progressive primary challenges, but you good luck going primary people with that guy in charge.
It's so silly.
I wanted to share this. The reason I was saving this maybe for tomorrow, but I really want to get your reaction to this because I want this to be a Nick and CJ segment, so it kind of relates. I definitely want to cover this before I leave. And this is my take on Ilhan Omar leaving the committee, and I am going to show this story that shows that AOC and the squad never gave a shit about getting anything done. In fact, they hate being part of the majority party, and these are things they're just saying out loud. I said maybe about 3 years ago. I remember because it was when Donald Trump was president. When I was disappointed with the squad, but I was like, I want to see how they act under a Republican president. Because it's easy to sound radical. I'm sorry, I said I want to see how they do under a Democrat president. Sorry, I got that wrong. Because it's easy to sound radical when there's a Republican president, when there's no chance of anything passing, right? What happens when your party's in power? When you got to challenge them? And we saw how quickly they folded and did nothing. That's why I said this tweet here. The left achieved literally zero material victories with the squad on committee seats, but the boutique left is pretending that them being removed is the apocalypse. And the reason why I say this is because I saw this article that came out 4 days ago, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable admission. I'm going to report just on the snippet I put out here, but I recommend read the whole thing. Look at this.
Because there's less pressure. They're not getting people tweeting them. Hey, do something. You're in power. Do this. Do something. You actually can force the vote. That was another added pressure. Yep. You can actually, so people understood, wait, why aren't you forcing the vote on this? Why aren't you forcing the vote on that? It became a thing about force the vote on this, force the vote on other things. Now they can go, whew. Now we can signal like we're Malcolm X. We can bring up and write all of these bills like Bro Khanna has one out. Pramila Jayapal has one out. Like, it's so absurd. Go ahead, Nick.
I called this a long time ago. I could find a tweet if I wanted to. Because I was like, guys, you really know the squad sellouts when you see how they act under Democrats. It's easy to sound radical when Trump is in office. You can say abolish ICE, abolish DHS, reduce military funding, and then all of a sudden Biden's president, he expands the DHS and ICE funding. Not a goddamn word. So they just say the quiet part here. Unbelievable. Here's the headline: the squad is out of power and relishing a new fight. Do these sound like people who are serious? They love being a minority party. And it's that inside the progressive flanks plan to regroup under the Republican House. And then I'm like, when I saw the headline, I was like, dude, this clickbait. I was like, this clickbait? You really gonna say this?
Some terrible stuff.
Like, I swear to God, like I pulled one snippet of the article here because I saw this headline. I was like, it has to be clickbait. There's no way they will literally say that. That you would say that out loud. Listen to what AOC had to say. I actually feel really good about all this. You know, the fascists, the people that you guys said, the fascists that are going to end democracy, the worst people in the world. AOC says, I actually feel good about all this. Not having power, being a minority in the House. She says, I think there are certain aspects here where we can flex our muscles even more sometimes than under a Democratic majority. AOC argued that being in the minority allows us to propose and work on legislations in ways that are simply difficult when you're a governing majority and there are literal fires that you have to put out every single day.
No, and when you're a governing majority, let me change that. When you're a governing majority and people expect you to actually do these things.
Yep.
That's really what should be said. This is pretty disgusting.
This is pretty disgusting.
Yeah, this is
pretty literally disgusting. Said, and no confusion here. Like, she doesn't even hide political talk. She straight up says that you can flex your muscles more. What that mean? That mean when Donald Trump is president, you can say abolish ICE. When Trump is president, because everyone knows there's zero chance of that happening. But when you're under the majority, you can't flex their muscles. You see what he said, I think there are certain aspects we can flex our muscles. So what's the inverse of that? That means when Democrats are in charge, we are not flexing our muscles. And how does this even make sense? If you have the majority, that makes it more likely for you to flex your muscles. But they don't do that because they know with the Democratic majority, they have an unbelievable amount of power because they are the breadwinners for the Democratic Party. They are the deciding vote, which is why the Republican holdouts got things like a decreased military budget, term limits, the ability to recall the speaker, because they had a ton of power that the AOC and the squad do not want, guys. This is why it's so important to call out this grift that Bernie Sanders and AOC have done, which is more nefarious than what Joe Manchin is doing. Because AOC is taking working class money with zero intentions of doing anything. She just wants to be in the minority. She wants the Republican in charge. Hell, even the Republican president, so she can virtue signal shit. Right. And then leftists and workers are tricked by that, so they send her more money. This is as disgusting as it gets in politics.
She wants to go back to a golden age because this last few years have been literally. Haven't we said this many times in many streams, at least 15 streams? Like, this is literally like the worst, like, 24 months of the existence of like the Democratic strategy of inside game strategy. This has been the worst. And now it's like, ooh, all this pressure is off because people aren't expecting things. Now think about that. It's so revealing in the way that you're selling, but it's also revealing that they have no intentions.
Yeah.
They have zero intentions of doing anything. They have zero, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that because it's not as clear. They have zero intentions on the things they're saying materializing. Zero. Because they're saying we can say the most forceful things when we're not in power. Because we're obedient, we're not going to say those things when we actually have the reins of power. We can put pressure on people because it's about our career. It's not about the people. It's not about actually, this is what I'm saying. It's not about actually materializing the things they tweet and talk about. It's just about virtue signaling. That's what the job of being a careerist politician is. Absolutely. You have to be able to virtue signal the carrot. You have to be able to draw the carrot. You can't let the person get close to the carrot, then they're gonna be like, nigga, why aren't you putting the carrot in your mouth, nigga? What the fuck is going on here? Like that's what happened this last few months under this last couple of years, Nick, with the Joe Biden. People are like, no, we see now that you full of shit. Absolutely. We see now you're full of shit. And it's easier to cover that up under a Republican administration, especially under the House. Go ahead, Nick.
The way you said that she looking back towards the golden days, so on point. Because she remember during the Trump era when she tricked a lot of people like me, a lot of people like Glenn talks about it all the time. Because it's easy to sound radical with no pressure there. Let me read this again because it's so ridiculous. So I literally need to finish reading the rest of the article, CJ, because I read this part. I literally had to take a break. I was done with. I was like, dude, I cannot believe she said that. It literally ruined my concentration. I literally stopped reading the article at this point because I was shocked. Like, I can't believe she said this shit. Then I posted on Twitter, and I never got back to the rest of the article. So I'm gonna read the rest of the damn article today and see if there are any other gems. But look at this. I'll read it one more time because there's one more point I want to make before I bounce out. I actually feel good about all this regarding a Republican House majority. I think there are certain aspects here where we can flex our muscles even more sometimes than under a Democratic majority. She argued that being a minority allows us to propose and work on legislation in ways that are just simply difficult when you're a governing majority and there are literally fires that you have to put out every single day. And I can spend another like 15, 20 minutes alone analyzing what the fuck that means. This mocking the idea, right? So not only interpretation of what this means, it's her saying the quiet part out loud again, where she's like, we would focus on these legislation goals, but we worry about putting out fires. What does that mean? That means I am too worried about doing PR for Joe Biden and the Democratic Party to worry about focusing on policy. Am I the only one who read it that way? When she says that it's difficult when you're in the governing majority and there are literally fires that you're putting out every single day. Why are you putting out fires for the Democratic Party? That's her literally saying and admitting, she's so dumb, she don't even know what she's saying out loud. She's admitting that her job is to do PR for Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Joe Biden has been so awful that they spent so many times getting rid of the fires that they can't focus on progressive policies. What do we say about the squad on RBN? We say they are a waste of time because they take our money to become PR agents of the Democratic Party. That is what I told Marianne Williamson that to her face, which is why I said this is a failed strategy because with Bernie, her hero, well, all they do is be PR agents of the Democratic Party. And AOC in this interview, non-prompted, just admits it. We so worried about extinguishing fires, can't focus on our policies.
It's an eye-opening article, Nick, and it's amazing how this stuff is just out in the open and you still have people cheerleading like Rational National.
Yeah.
But it just shows that it's not at all about policy. It's all about personality. This is how I got my bread and butter made, and you think I'm about to run from this? They're showing they're showing their infantile intellect because they don't have a way of adjusting. They can't even go, well, let me adjust. He has one horse to ride, and that's it, Nick.
Yep.
That's my final thoughts on it.
So with that said, I'm gonna join Jimmy tonight. I'm gonna wrap my time up with that segment.
Okay.
So feel free to continue. Stay tuned. Finish this live stream up. Jimmy posted a lot of great clips later. So see you guys maybe Saturday. I got a few more stories I want to cover. Like once again, the Lula I don't remember the German president name on top of my head. Let me see if I'll pull my notes up. But he had an argument. He met with a German leader and they had an argument about Ukraine. It was very interesting when Lula put back on them. Like, nigga, we not focused on this shit. And Germany was like, well, if you guys don't stop putting out, you might come after you. Anyway, I'm gonna cover that Saturday or maybe sometime. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. I'm gonna talk.
All right. We shall watch you on Jimmy in just a little bit. So let's move to the AOC is afraid to debate MTG. So we're gonna go. Already had that set up, but we're gonna go to my bookmarks here. Now I just happened to see this. I was what do I have? I don't know. What did I click here? Something. My wife must be on a call or something. It's going a little slow. Anyway, let's move to the next segment, and this segment is going to be AOC is afraid of debating Marjorie Taylor Greene, and to me, this is what illustrates it here. And we're gonna start with the Marjorie Taylor Greene video that she posted of AOC and what she says here. So, but to me, this clearly indicates a fear because. What to me it indicates a fear, and it indicates. I mean, just imagine where we're at, and in the states that we have, and you have AOC being challenged by somebody as weak, intellectually weak, as Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you're afraid to do that. Afraid of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think let's keep it short. Let's just use some initials here. So AOC afraid of Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's what we're going to cover next. And let's talk about some of the other stories so we know what's coming up. So we covered the AOC clownish speech. I'm about to cover the AOC afraid of debate. We talked a little bit about the Ro Khanna story and against socialism, but we still have the Joe Biden, which is the tweet. Joe Biden calls out socialism. Calls out capitalism, believe it or not, and calls it exploitation. But wait till you see the tweet to get the understanding. And then Stephen A. Smith tap dances for Sean Hannity. So they're buddies, I guess. So we're going to cover that. So that's some of the other stories I'm going to cover here. And let's continue. Now, let me look. So I'm checking now. We're at 233 likes. We got up to 400 and some odd people watching. So could we get another 125 people hit that like button? 125 more people hit that like button for this next segment. And I'll also give out our Substack for those that need that for notifications. So like I said, last time I checked, we were at about 233 likes, and we're pushing to get to 370 likes. 370 likes. That's about 125 more. That's 350 likes. So 125 more likes. 125 more people hit that like button. Now here is our Substack. If you want to know when we go live, like when Nick just mentioned, he's going to go likely on Saturday, which is tomorrow, but don't know a time or anything like that. So if you want to know when we go live, join our Substack. We send out those notifications generally about 45 minutes before we go live. We also send out notifications of our clips. So if you want notifications of when we get clips. And then the last perk of being on our Substack is you get the link to our Discord. So if you're a Discord user and want a link to our Discord, this is the free way to get that link For those that are paying Patreon subscribers, $2 a month, $3 a month, and up, you get this link also sent to you on Patreon. This is our email address. I'm sorry, this is our website. Check it out, revolutionaryblackoutnetwork.com. And now let's get back into the story. AOC afraid of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene tweets out. Let me read the caption before I play the video. AOC, I have repeatedly asked you to debate me. Let me blow this up a little bit. AOC afraid of MTG. Okay. Now, let's read. Here we go. AOC, I have repeatedly asked you to debate me, but you have been a coward and can't even respond. So apparently, Marjorie Taylor Greene has asked her to debate, and she has never even responded up to this point because she's deathly afraid, which is a joke. But you go on CNN and lie about me. When are you going to be an adult and actually debate me on policy instead of run your mouth like a teenage girl? That's pretty solid. So let's listen to what she's saying is a lie, though. Let's listen. This is AOC on CNN.
These individuals that Kevin McCarthy has chosen to appoint to committee. George Santos claimed that his grandparents were in the Holocaust. That was a lie, a disgusting lie. Marjorie Taylor Greene regularly trafficking in anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Paul Gosar inciting, these are individuals, Marjorie Taylor Greene included, inciting violence against specific members in the body. He has appointed all three of them to House committees, not just one, but multiple. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was engaging in 9/11 conspiracy theories, Kevin McCarthy appointed her to the Homeland Security Committee. So there is really no consistency here. And it needs to be very well known that this targeting of Ilhan Omar is because the Republican base finds it easy. The Republican base finds it politically self-rewarding. These individuals that Kevin McCarthy.
So Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff were also taken off of committees. So three Democrats, and Ilhan was the third.
Has chosen to appoint to committee. George Santos claimed that.
And all of these things that she lists, I thought this was the ending of the video, but no, it repeated. So that's why I stopped it. So all the people she listed in this video and the things they did, I don't see why that keeps them off of any committees. Don't see. I mean, I don't see. There's corruption and problems on everybody. Everybody's there is corrupt. They're having problems. I don't see like these issues you pick and choose. Oh, this is the standard. Because if you January 6th, fuck January 6th. Who cares? Or maybe that's a rhetorical question. So, but these things, I mean, the proletariat should not and do not care about. So that's the video. Now, whatever lie, like I'm not getting into petty squabbles about what's a lie and what's not a lie between these two actors, between these two characters. So whatever, I don't care what's a lie in that. But the fact that she won't debate her on policy. Now, this is what AOC says in response. This is what she says in response. Hey there, in case you forgot, we sit on the same committee which debated for the first time this week. You believe that? I'm going to read that again and I'm going to blow it up. Yes, AOC is this cowardly. Yes. She's this cowardly that she is trying to pretend that debating in a United States House member committee is a debate or is the debate that Marjorie Taylor Greene is asking for. How fucking weak and spineless can you be? This is what she says. Hey there, in case you forgot, we sit on the same committee, which debated for the first time this week. I don't blame you if you forgot. You spent almost no time there. In the few minutes you did show up, you claim one elementary school got $5 billion to teach CRT. Now you see how she doesn't address the issue at all of debating her, but now she can say she responded, and then she pivots to some other issue that she hoping all of her followers, her stands, are going to pick up and run with. They're going to forget all about the fact that she just cowardly is saying that she doesn't want to debate one-on-one. This is the people we think are going to take over and do some sort of get some gains. People this intellectually weak that they're afraid to debate comic book characters, or maybe that's an insult to comic book characters, but to debate imaginary fantasy people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. To me, that's an indication that you don't feel secure in your policies, or you don't hold those policies as a genuine thing that you believe in. You just pick a side. Oh, let me pick the leftist side, and these are the things they believe in. Okay, these are the things that I'm going to push. It feels like that's what AOC, to me, has become. And hang on 1 second. I think there's one more receipt in this story. Oh yeah, I did want to go to some of the reaction. I just can't believe this is the reaction that AOC gets. Wow, 923 quotes. I'm even afraid to even see some of this crazy shit right here. Let's look at it though. Let's read this one. So this is a Vote Blue guy. So let's look and see what they think. Oops, I wrote about the wrong person here, but both are the same, whether it's MTG or Bober. They are both losers and cannot debate with Cortez, not smart enough to have debate. Sorry, I reacted too fast and did not even open the tweet even enough. So this person has to apologize to AOC somehow, I guess. But the contest, AOC is armed with facts, not space lasers. So they're defending her even though she's backing out. She's refusing to debate. Okay. MTG will regret luring AOC into an intellectual debate on actual facts. This is mind-boggling. But this is very it's very eye-opening for us to kind of read through. How nice to have a government that works for the people by loading it up with reprobates and scoundrels and failed actors who spend billions of dollars pretend fighting each other while moving in lockstep with World War III. Base point right there. These are two actors who are playing a game in public for people to take sides, and you see people taking sides here. So they're playing to these people. They're not playing to like me or anybody on RBN, Savvy, JB, Rome, Nick. They're not playing to any of those people. They're playing to these people. And let's read a little more. I'm curious to see people that like what AOC is saying. Does Marjorie Taylor Greene really watch CNN? How does Eclipse Pro going? So it's another conservative. I might not agree with some of AOC ideology, but seeing her go at it with members from the GOP is so entertaining to me. Just because she wants to give alternate facts. Geez. How about both of you ladies grow the hell up and do the job? We are all fed up with the high school drama. Check your feelings at the door. No one has the time for that. Pathetic. Hey, AOC, hard to have a battle of wits when they are not even half prepared. MTG, stand up, engage brain, then speak. both children, both. Look at the likes compared to you, the United States government. And that's a good one to end this segment on. I wanted to keep it short because there's a couple more segments we do want to get to. Let me see what else I have to cover here. So we have let's cover the Joe Biden calls out capitalism. I think that's also in my bookmarks, but let's see here. This one here is amazing, but of course, people and comrades of the network of RBN, you're gonna see some of the tweets where they're calling out this nonsense. Where is it's not that one? It's not that one. Where did I put it? So maybe that's not it. So let's do this other quick story since I have it here. I don't want to have to come back to this. This is like a minute video, and this shout out to Case Study QB. And this really is the story of Black capitalists, and we need to understand that when we say Black capitalists, Black people can't really be capitalists. Anytime your money, you have to ask permission from white money to do anything, that means you're not a capitalist. You just a nigga with a lot of money. Okay, so, but this clip here with, and I think this is how you spell his name, Stephen A. Smith and Sean Hannity. I think that's it. If it's spelled wrong, my apologies. You know I don't spell good. So Stephen A. Smith and Sean Hannity. Now this here illustrates the problem that the Black community have with petty Blacks in the petty bourgeoisie class. The black petty bourgeoisie. That's a better way of saying it. This is the problem. They really believe that they are the capitalists that white people are, that they're equal. And they're not going to give that up. This is one of the problems with I'm not gonna say it that way. Let's just listen to the video and then we'll comment.
There are way too many people in this country that want socialism. Right. But socialism, I wrote a chapter in my last book, Live Free or Die. That's right. Socialism, whatever form, manifestation, name, every time it's promised, promises are never fulfilled. It always ends in more poverty and a loss of freedom.
Let me tell you what I said. Let me tell somebody what I said in defense of you one time. I said, listen, I said, I'm a proud capitalist. I ain't apologizing for that to anybody.
We know that.
Right, that's right.
I read your contract.
I'm not, there you go. I'm not apologizing for that to anybody.
Yeah.
But when you say socialism, I think there's another category. There are some people who don't oppose capitalism. They just believe that they don't have a fair and equitable shot at taking advantage of a capitalist.
And you would agree with me that any American that puts their head down, works hard, plays by the rules, provides goods and services that people want, need, and desire can succeed in this country.
I think they can, but that doesn't take away from the fact that there are a lot of people that deny them.
And I love you as a friend. You're a good man. All right. Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, like that? That's what people like on this network, Savvy, JB, Rome, and Nick, this is who we're up against in our own community. This sellout nonsense like this, and I'll bring back up the video. But this sort of sellout ideology of people who call themselves Black capitalists, but they're really just aspiring capitalists. They're the Black petty bourgeoisie that has been allowed to make the most money in this system. So the system has benefited them. So fuck everybody else is essentially the understanding. But let's also zero in on what Sean Hannity is saying here.
There are way too many people in this country that want socialism.
Right.
But socialism, I wrote.
There's way too many people in this country who want socialism. They see the conversations on social media, they see the tweets on Twitter, they see the post on Instagram, they see the TikTok videos. They see the YouTube video contents about socialism and socialists. They see all of this stuff growing because capitalism is not delivering for the basic needs of the vast majority. And they don't understand why that is. This is why I always say, even if I was a capitalist, I don't get how they don't understand for the longevity of their own sake, their own prosperity, for the longevity of that, they have to invest in people. So people are feeling, even if it's imaginary, people are feeling like they're reaping benefits from the system. So they don't want to tear it down. And you can keep making profits, but their sort of economically libertarian views don't allow them for even to help that, even to sustain themselves. And that, to me, is just the fatal flaw that people like Karl Marx point out of capitalists. Like, to the death, they have this ideology, and that is the reason why we're seeing all of this collapsing right now. So too much socialism, or too many people want socialism, and then let's continue after he says it again, and then we'll dive into what Stephen A. says.
There are way too many people in this country that want socialism. Right. But socialism, I wrote a chapter in my last book, Live Free or Die. That's right. Socialism, whatever form, manifestation, name, every time it's promised, promises are never fulfilled. It always ends in more poverty. Right. And
promises are never fulfilled, and it always ends in more poverty. Does that not describe the United States? And what capitalists like Sean Hannity, like Stephen A. Smith, always leave out in the telling of socialism has been tried is all of the things that you're saying, all the failings of quote unquote socialism or socialist like, or anything you want to look categories towards that. They've never been allowed to blossom without the interference of the United States government, like US-backed coups, ever in existence. So that's the part they forget to tell you about. Why don't you allow it to flourish alone? I mean, you can see even what's happening now with the attempted coup of Lula down in Brazil. You can see what's happening with what's going on in Peru. President Castillo down in Peru. So anytime these sort of leaders, these socialist leaders, these left-leaning leaders are even elected, you immediately get them removed as capitalists. So, all right, it had me start over. All right, so let's listen to what Stephen A. says, and then we can close out this, and we'll move to YouTube, I think, for the last segment. Is what we have that. Last segment. Let's listen.
Last book, Live Free or Die. That's right. Socialism, whatever form, manifestation, name, every time it's promised, promises are never fulfilled. It always ends in more poverty and a loss of freedom.
Let me tell you what I said. Let me tell somebody what I said in defense of you one time. I said, listen, I said, I'm a proud capitalist. I ain't apologizing for that to anybody.
We know that.
Right, that's right.
I read your contract.
I'm not, there you go. I'm not apologizing for that to anybody. Yeah. But when you say socialism, I think there's another category. There are some people who don't oppose capitalism. They just believe that they don't have a fair and equitable shot at taking advantage of a capitalist.
And you would agree with me that any American that puts their head down, works hard.
So this is the black so-called capitalist class, the black bourgeoisie's version of, I am working to help black people. You're working to help black people be black capitalists. You like, they want more black people to be in the employer class, the exploitation class, or the class that's inflicting exploitation. That's their version of progress, is to bring more blacks into the class and to exploit other workers. That's their understanding of advancement. That's their Martin Luther King, I have a dream. Truly disgusting when I saw this video. I was like, I have to cover it. So let's let him finish it out here.
Plays by the rules, provides goods and services.
And then Sean Hannity, because this is where they're disagreeing. Sean Hannity was like, no. Don't try to act like no problem. People getting held back. If you put your head down and you do something and you do that, you'll be able to succeed, which is a fucking joke. There's plenty of people in the hood who does that, working 50, 60 hours. So if hard work paid off, then why are the people who are working 50, 60 hours or working 50, 60 hours for 20 years? It's just a complete joke. But the selling of this is being less and less effective. And he hinted to that when he says more and more people are becoming socialists, are thinking that socialism is a good thing. All right, so let's go to Joe Biden. Capitalism. Let's see. Okay, here it goes, because I did retweet this one. Here is the tweet, and that we're gonna cover. Can't believe this. So they know what you don't think they don't know what people are saying on social media? They know exactly what people are saying, and then they craft messages to virtue signal like they're down with us. Biden calls out capitalism. But he's basically calling out crony capitalism, or what they like to use as a way of saying it's not the real capitalism. But here is the president, President Biden. Capitalism without competition isn't capitalism. It's exploitation. Capitalism without competition isn't capitalism. That's literally what capitalism is. Isn't capitalism about squashing competition? Doesn't capitalists go up and buy up competitors to monopolize markets? This is what happens all the time. That is capitalism. If in the insatiable appetite of capitalism, where there's no finish line, it's just more and more and more and more and more, then you have to eliminate capitalism. That's the only way to gain more profit. You have to merge, cut employee cost. Now another profit, stock buybacks. So he says this. Now I preface it enough because the real story is people's reaction to this. So let's go and see how people are not being fooled by none of this shit. So here's the first one. Biden calls out capitalism, but people are not fooled. And here's Josh. He says, all capitalism is exploitation. I want to live in a society that is based on cooperation to meet the needs of all members of society, not one based on competition over whatever leftover resources the ruling class isn't hoarding for themselves, which is what we have now. That's a base comment. So I'm going to go ahead and retweet that one. Let's read this next one. Let's see if there's anybody who's for capitalism. Capitalism inherently tends towards monopoly and away from competition over time. And this is the point I was making. Even from the hypothetical, perfectly competitive starting point, which doesn't actually exist. So if capitalism without competition is the problem, then the problem is simply capitalism itself. And that's Rev Left Radio. This one right here is another one. I think I retweeted this one already, but this is another one that went viral. Exploitation is inherent in capitalism. You can't have capitalism without it. So people who understand that this guy is just pretty much virtue signaling, they're not allowing him to get away with it. Let's see if any comments here of these people, of anybody in the comments here. Second Thought did another video regarding capitalism. Right on. Capitalism without competition is the end game. That is the end game. That is the end game. It's capitalism is unfeathered profits without competition. Capitalism is exploitation. Yes. Let's see this one. Oh, we are mistaking comrades. It's just crony capitalism. Making 30K a year is not great. I made 37,000 last year and still broke. Cost of living is up. RBN with T Scoop, with the Scoop. All right, so I think we're gonna be winding down and heading over to watch Nick. Of course, tomorrow we're gonna cover Nick's appearance on the Jimmy Dore show. We're gonna cover Nick's appearance on the Jimmy Dore show tonight. We're gonna cover sometime tomorrow, whenever Nick and I go live tomorrow. And I do want to hold off the Chinese spy balloon story to when I'm with Nick, because some of the receipts he have on that story, some of the receipts we need for that story, he's the one who has it. So I do want to hold off on that. But let's go to, what do I have saved there? So let me go to another screen, because I don't want to bring that up without knowing what's there first. So let's like the stream on our way out, if you would, pretty please. And this is the one that I'm going to want to end with. Do dissidents. We're going to end with, again, like, oh, I'll put it up in here. I like what these guys did on this video, so I'm going to end with this video again. And the critiquing Crystal Ball's grow up comment on Status Quo with Jordan Sheraton with that interview. So we'll end with this, but not ending yet. Just a couple of things before we head out here. But I will set it up for us to have ready to go. Oops. All right, there we go. All right, so heading out, Nick and I are going to be going live sometime tomorrow. So make sure you get on our Substack. This will be the last time I shout it out. Make sure you get on our Substack so that you get that notification for tomorrow. JB will be back for the JB show, I believe, this Sunday. Sabby is off today. She has a lot going on with work and everything. So Sabby will be off today. That's partly another reason why it's good that Nick and I decided to go. And then, I mean, Nick was originally going to be in the stream the entire time, but then Jimmy hit him up, texted him and said, hey, can you join today? So anytime that happens, great to have him go out and be and talk on the Jimmy Dore show. Thank you for everybody today being here. Here goes a super chat. If we have U.S. citizen-owned utilities and resources, we can end poverty and 70% of crime goes away. Just a share of oil and trees and electricity, and just a share of the oil and trees and electric and internet. There we go. Sorry about messing that up. Thank you, Carrie Scott, for the super chat. And imagine the savings you would have if the utilities was U.S. citizen owned. Imagine the savings. Imagine the better infrastructure. Imagine not depending on some capitalists to deliver infrastructure and savings to the people. We would just deliver to ourselves. So thank you for that super chat there. And I don't think I've been kind of checking the notes, the comments. I don't believe I missed any super chats there. So yeah, I don't think I missed any super chats. So thank you, everybody. Now, what I do want to leave with is here. If everybody could put their city and state, or just their state, or the country and the city they're in, I'm going to pop those up so people can see where people are who listen and watch RBN. And I'm going to be signing off, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button. Let's get us to 400 likes. Let's try to get us to 400 likes. We had like 450 people watching today. So let's do another 100 likes. If 100 more people hit that like button, we will make it. 100 more people hit that like button, and here is that Substack if I didn't put it up there earlier. But 100 more people hit that like button on your way out. That'll pop this up in the feed of a lot of more people so they can watch this on replay. And here is Due Dissidence again, breaking down the idea of Marianne Williamson being a candidate.
Grow up, get serious. This is a actual path to having an impact on the issues that you claim to care about.
I'm sorry, no, it is not. This is a path towards something. This is a path towards nothing. This is a path towards, mark my words, everybody. This is a path towards these idiots sitting here in August of 2024 saying, oh, we know it sucks that Marianne's not the nominee, but we just have to vote for Joe Biden because DeSantis or Trump or whoever it's going to be, they're just too dangerous. It's going to be the same conversation for a third time in a row. That is where this path leads. Wash your hands of it. Invest in something else. Invest in something real, like a workers' movement. And if you are going to engage in presidential politics at all, which I don't know that you should, quite frankly, then put your money, put your limited resources into building something better. That's actually doing something. Investing in Marianne Williamson for 2024 is a fucking joke. It is beyond a joke.
And that's what's amazing here, because she's saying, well, grow up. You can't sit around for a revolution. Is what you're talking about in any way more practical, more demonstrably practical? Like, we ran this experiment already. All that's left now is outside power, outside movements, and outside pressure. What are you advocating?
Right,
that we all get together and run around New Hampshire for some Topanga Canyon hippie? Like, is that what we're supposed to do now? And that's the grown-up alternative you're offering